TalkTV can exclusively reveal that an international law firm hired by the Post Office to defend them against postmasters in their battle for compensation received a staggering £37.5 million. More than 700 Post Office branch managers across the UK were prosecuted on the basis, as I'm sure you know by now, of a faulty IT system called Horizon, which made it look as if money was missing when in fact it wasn't missing at all. The scandal has been described as the most widespread British miscarriage of justice in modern times. Joining me now to discuss this, former sub-postmaster and victim of the scandal, Lee Castleton. Lee, how good to see you on the programme. Thank you so much for joining me. You probably know that I've been covering this story, firstly at the BBC, now here, for about 16, 17 years. So I didn't need an ITV drama to know that this was the most abominable miscarriage of justice, causing pain and disgrace and suffering so great that 4 people have taken their own lives as a result of it. So, you know, I can't even express how awful I think all of this is. And now the rest of the country's behind you, it seems, in unison. But what about this revelation? All that money paid to a law firm.
It's just obscene. It's continuing. It still goes on even now. You know, the total bill for the GLO itself was something in the region of £120 million worth of taxpayers' money. You know, they were prepared just to keep throwing money and money and money after things to try and crush the case against them. And it's still ongoing. People haven't been fully compensated. People are still fighting, arguing. It's like, well, certainly from their side, it's like war.
Just in case people don't know exactly what happened to you, do you mind giving us once more? I know it's horrible talking about it, but just once more, some notion of what happened to you. You running a post office, where was it? What happened?
Yeah, my wife and I, 2 small children, we bought a post office in Bridlington, East Yorkshire in 2003. In 2004, we had 12 consecutive weeks of misbalancing. We told the post office repeatedly, 91 times over the 12 weeks that we were having issues. No matter what we said, post office just ignored us. Eventually, I was audited and removed from the office. They blamed me for the losses. They then took me to the High Court to sue me for to recoup the £25,000 that they said that I owed them, which they won. And they were awarded £321,000 in costs, which I couldn't pay. And so we lost everything, the business, you know, every single thing, really. And we were ostracised in the small fishing town. We were shouted at in the street, particularly me, obviously. My children were bullied. My daughter was spat at. That led to my wife having seizures, which were stress-related, and epilepsy. My daughter had an eating disorder for 10 years, which thankfully now she's recovered from, or is recovering from. And yeah, it's been quite a 20-year journey. It's been the most horrific part of my life, but there's 555 of us involved in this. We fought really, really hard against every single aspect of the things that Post Office have brought. And, you know, we're still fighting. This has not gone away. This is still ongoing. It's still crazy, crazy amounts of money being spent trying to hammer down claims and trying to disbar people from claiming, trying to stop people from just moving on, really.
When you hear the sheer amount, the millions and millions, the tens of millions spent on fighting people such as yourself, what was the total amount of money that they said that you had taken? Obviously, they were wrong. You hadn't taken any money at all. But what did they say that you had cost the Post Office?
£25,500.
And how many £1 million did I just say that they paid one law firm? Was it £37 million?
In my particular case, it was £321,000 that they spent in fighting me into the High Court. But later on over the years, over the 10-year period, they will repeatedly tell you, they've totaled just that one firm, £37.5 million. But again, it's £120 million is the total bill. You know, this is crazy money. crazy money.
But it's not just crazy money, though, Lee, is it? It's just downright crazy, isn't it? Because in real life, in the real world, when there's a day of reckoning and it's someone's actual money, a real person's money, you look at the loss. You look at the loss you imagine you've incurred. Of course, they had incurred no loss at all. It was completely an error. Nothing had been lost. But you look at the loss, you look at the cost of defending it, and if the cost of defending the loss outweighs the cost of the loss itself, you shrug your shoulders and walk away.
Decisions.
You don't keep
Commercial
fighting.
Decisions, are they?
I mean, talk about a hammer to crack a nut. And one of the awful things about this, in addition to the appalling and dreadful suffering that you went through and your family and all the other people involved, is this absolute cavalier attitude to taxpayers' money, flinging this muck at you at the cost of millions and millions and millions of pounds of our money, to recoup a loss that they hadn't lost, that was an absolute drop in the ocean. None of it makes any sense, does it?
Without a second thought. And this has cost lives, Vanessa.
Yeah, I know.
There's 64 people, I know you know, 64 people. 4 people have committed suicide. That's what we know of. One gentleman, one lovely father, stepped in front of a bus because of the amount of pressure they were being. What do these people think they are doing with the armaments, this huge war chest of money from the Chancellor, from the taxpayers? How is that allowed to happen?
Have you had back, Lee, the money that they said you lost when you didn't, the money they said you took? Have you had that actual money back?
No.
You had to sell things to pay and plug the hole, this deficit that they said you were stealing.
I ended in bankruptcy, yeah. I lost everything. I went into bankruptcy. But the whole point of all of this is that the compensation itself, the whole process, we're still dealing with. You know, they're saying that the compensation scheme will be over in August of this year, but that's not going to be the case, because every single time you put a figure down or a head of claim down or whatever it might be, they just lawyer up and drive it down. They're quite happy to spend, hundreds of millions of pounds trying to save the taxpayer money.
Where's the bit where we, the taxpayer, rise up and say, we're not prepared to pay this? We won't fund this. Stop it. I really appreciate your joining us on the show, Lee. Thank you very much indeed, and best wishes to the family. Thank you. Thank you so much.